In 2018, an online budget data portal, Vlega Mali, was launched in Parliament, Cape Town. The portal is a partnership between the National Treasury and Imali Yethu, a civil society organization. Its aim is to publish readily accessible data that's easy to understand from the government's annual budget. Treasury says the purpose of this portal is to promote transparency, enhance public participation in the budget process, and allow citizens to track spending. Momentum says that while such data is available, the need for budget literacy for South Africans remains.
Budget literacy is quite important, and I think we don't have budget literacy. It's not widespread, and there is a role in government that government can play to make sure that people understand the budget, understand the function that goes within the budget, and the impact of the budget. But essentially, for the citizen, for the people in South Africa, what it essentially means is that it's how government is spending their money. So how income is coming in, and most of the government's income comes from tax collection, but also what government spends its money on.
Mixed emotions were observed from South Africans.
I think the budget speech is important, even though I've never listened to it that much, but I think it's very important because of the budget, when it goes out, is where employment will be created.
She says she doesn't understand the need for the budget because every year it is presented, but nothing changes. For instance, their communities are in disarray, government facilities are falling apart, and even the police station in Atteridgeville is not in good standing because there are no workers there. He says the budget speech must be delivered because it might help with the rate of unemployment in South Africa, and maybe things can go smoothly with no acts of corruption. Momentum says consumers need to keep an eye out for certain policy changes in the budget, as they could have an impact on them later.
From the consumer lens, it's important for the consumer because even though we might not get big policy changes, so nothing that will move or change the trajectory of consumers immediately, but there are key things that the consumer will have to watch out for and that will matter for the consumer, particularly from the income perspective. So we'll have to look at things like tax, so whether or not there are changes in tax that is being done, but also things like grant.
FNB reiterates the importance of consumers being budget literate, as this will impact their day-to-day budgetary needs.
There's a couple of things that the consumer needs to keep an eye out for on budget day and see how it's going to impact them. The first, of course, is if there's an adaptation in the personal income tax bracket. If there is that inflationary keep, it could mean that there's potentially a little bit of extra money at the end of the month. That is money that you can put towards saving for an emergency or paying off your debt. Of course, fuel levies is a big hot topic as well. So if there is a fuel levy increase, that is going to affect how much more you're going to be spending for petrol at the pump. So again, checking and adjusting that budget appropriately.
FNB says it's important for consumers to relook at their monthly budget once the main budget is announced to see what their savings plan will look like. It will also be wise to start checking debit orders and build up a buffer in emergency savings to cushion against any impacts. Nothando Makutulela, SABC News, Johannesburg.